Okay, why do we feel good about... It's not. Why do we feel good about ourselves? Because we beat the British. We are 2-0, right? And what else?
We don't have to deal with the European country.
We just double.
Very good. We're out of the European country business for a while, right? So we're feeling good about ourselves. We don't have to worry about it. Where are Americans moving?
West.
West. It's all a big, gigantic land of opportunity. So long as you don't get beaten down by the weather, or the elements, or the Indians, or, you know, starve to death. There's a lot of opportunity. There is. We're the land of opportunity. Go west.
If you don't.
I wouldn't have gone west. I would have been scared to go. I would have stayed put. That was always Duncan and I's way to say, don't question things, just stay put. Things will be better here. One big thing was, now that the Federalists are gone, for a little while, we actually just kind of have one political party. It's called the National Republicans. It's one of the legacy of Jefferson, right? Jefferson's party became so popular, Louisiana Purchase was such a big political movement, had such big political influence, because we have one party. Although, National Republicans. Sort of the forefront to a split between National Republicans and Democrats. But one thing is going to be, we're going to start seeing, very soon, we're going to start seeing sectionalism. We don't have it yet, but what's sectionalism? Does anyone know what sectionalism is?
It's when you separate yourself.
No, it's when, I mean, clearly you know that in a few years, I'm going to get a saber. I want to have a saber on YouTube. How awesome will this be? In a few years in history, you know, we're going to have this thing called the Civil War, right? And the Civil War was between what two areas of the country?
North and south.
North and south, really the North and West versus the South. Sectionalism is when different parts of the country have differing political and economic outlooks. Does that make sense? The North wanted one thing, the South wanted something else, the West wanted something else. So, we're starting to see sectionalism. But our boy Henry Clay, who's very, very important, is going to put forth his idea called the American system. Or, if you're George Bush, it would be called the American system. Alright? The American system had three basic tenets to it. Number one, we're going to get a new bus. Remember, what had happened to the bus?
Shut down right when they needed it.
Yeah. It had a 20-year charter, right? And the bus shut down. So we get a second bus. This second bus is actually 3.5 times richer than the first. It had a capitalization of $35 million, which was 3.5 times more than the original bus did. And this passed in 1816. Also, a tariff. What is a tariff?
Tax on imported goods.
Tax on imported goods. But what do tariffs do to prices? They raise them. I'm going to show you how. Let's say that you want to buy, let's say Sarah over there wants to buy American jeans. She wants to buy jeans, right? And you get American jeans, and the American jeans cost you, let's say the American jeans cost, you got expensive taste, all right? Cost $115, all right? And let's say British jeans are the exact same thing, real nice, almost the exact same thing, only they're $100. Which one are you going to buy?
British.
You're going to buy the British jeans, right? So what America, or what any country will do, is they will put a tariff on it. Let's say we put a 25% tariff. This tariff, the tariff of 1816, wasn't 25%, but it was protectionist, and I'll tell you what that means in a second. Now how much are British jeans going to be? With a 25% tariff, what's it going to cost? $125. How much are American jeans going to cost? $124. We're still going to buy, the American jeans now. So even though we have a tariff on British goods, what happens to all prices? They go up. Because why wouldn't you make it as high as you can, right? Because you're going to buy one pair, you might as well get as much out of the customer as you can. So, who does this protect though? Who's this good for? American businesses, right? It's called protectionist because it protects American industry. Who do you think really didn't like this? What part of the country? England and Europe are both part of a different country and or our continent. What part of America do you think didn't like this? The South. Very good. Why did the South not like this so much?
Because they didn't have as many businesses and all that.
Well, from that perspective, maybe they didn't feel like they were being protected. Specifically, who's kind of the voice of the South for the next 25 years, 35 years? We learned about him yesterday. South Carolina.
John Calhoun.
John Calhoun. Very good. Think of it this way. Let's say, here's my map again. Here's America. Here's England, right? Let's say we put a tariff on England of 25%. What are they probably going to do to us? Yeah, it's called a retaliatory tariff of, let's say, 25%. So now, let's say you live in the South here. Let's say you live in the South, and you want to sell cotton or tobacco or something over to England. Well, if you're having to get charged 25% extra, are you going to be selling more or less? Less of it. So if you're in the South, you're selling less goods. But also, what's happening to prices because of the tariff coming this way? So now, if you're in the South, you're having less money and crap is more expensive. Does that make sense? So South didn't like it. Eventually, who's going to love tariffs? Where do we see most industry?
The North.
The North. I know what you're asking me. I can see it in Sarah's eyes. Mr. Sarah, do you have a map showing the places where industry is most heavy? Yes. Yes, I do. Look at this. It's one of my favorite maps. In fact, look at this. Look, all these little things look like they're hotels for Monopoly. They're not. They're actually like areas of lots of concentrated industrial growth, right? So where is most of our industry going to eventually be?
In the north.
In the Northeast. So the North will eventually love the tariffs. Originally, though, Daniel Webster, Northerner, didn't like them because he thought it would hurt trade. And remember, if you're a trader, you trade coming and going. So tariffs will reduce trade, right? Clay thought it was awesome because it was going to protect American industries. And if you're collecting tariff money, that's money for the federal government, which goes into the third part of the American system, which is he wanted the federal government to pay for internal improvements. A lot of people in the hinterlands of America were like, we need roads. We can't go anywhere. It's hard to get places, and if you can't go anywhere, you can't be as successful economically, right? You can't trade. There's not much commerce. So he wanted the third part of the American system. You get the bus, you get tariffs, and then you have federal paid internal improvements. How many times have you been to Eastern Kentucky, Libby?
I don't know what.
You been to Eastern Kentucky before?
Too many times.
Not too many times? You've been there a lot? Have you ever noticed that going from like right here to right here as a crow flies is like 15 miles, but it takes you 17 hours to get there? Because you have to go through like a bunch of hollers and through some cat barns and past a hilljack named Steve, whose mom is also named Steve, and you get all kind of problems. In fact, a good friend of mine from Bell County, another good friend of mine used to live in Pike County. As a crow flies, it should take 90 minutes. It's 3.5 hours, right? You're going all over the world. You're backtracking and all kind of things, right? You can only pass one road if you have a coonskin cap on.
Forever to get there because you got off whatever interstate you were on and then just back road.
And that's one reason why the growth of Kentucky has always been slowed is the transportation. No businesses want to go there if they can't get their product to and from, right? So a lot of people are like, in the hinterlands, like, we need internal improvements. And Henry Clay, this would be great for the country. However, this was always vetoed. States still did not like the idea of having their money go pay for someone else's roads, right? Why do I want my Virginia money going and paying for Massachusetts stuff? I ain't doing that. Who knows? That's how I figure they talked. So that's the American system. And Clay thought it would be great. Now, the era of good feelings. President Monroe was the 4th Virginia president of the first 5. And he was in Detroit, actually, looking at our military and proclaimed this to be the era of good feelings. We felt great about ourselves. But as most things, when someone proclaims something to be what it is, it never actually is, right? I proclaim myself to be awesome, but in reality, I'm just a scared little human underneath trying to mask it with, humor and...
Red hair.
Right. Ultra authority. there were lots of problems. You ever, like, on some of your teams, volleyball teams are a good example, where everything seems good on the cover, but then simmering below the surface, there's lots and lots of problems.
Don't even look at
Um,
the surface.
This is, you guys are out in the open crazy, right? But that's what's happening. What's simmering underneath the surface in America? Well, one big one was sectionalism. There is starting to form real sectionalism in America. The areas of the country are starting to have real disagreements with other areas of the country. One is about like the bank. The West, specifically in the South, hate the bus.
If you're saying it ends, but it was never really actually a Federalist Party. Never mind.
Okay. Their tariff issues were also simmering under the surface. These are oftentimes going to be the things that are going to eventually really tear the parties apart. And obviously, what's the biggest issue in America at this point, from 1820 till the Civil War? What's going to be the gigantic elephant in the room? Slavery, right? And that's going to start coming to the forefront. Now, in Monroe's presidency, while in America, two big things happened. One is the Missouri Compromise, and one is the Panic of 1819.
Is the Missouri Compromise on there?
Missouri Compromise is definitely on there, trust me.
Oh, it's just...
Let's talk about the Panic first, alright? The Panic of 1819, as you can see, hopefully one of you guys will one day do a mural around here. That's the mural from a couple years ago. And they put all the panics up there. And we're not going to panic dance yet. So what I'm going to, because half the class is gone. And the the more, it's not their fault. The more people that panic, the more fun it is, trust me.
It's so their fault.
Now, I want to talk about the panic itself, and we'll do the notes part of it. And when they get back, we'll have a panic dance, okay? But panics themselves are what we used to call depressions. Like today we call them depressions, we used to call them panics. And almost all of them are caused by one thing specifically, and it's over-speculation. In fact, that's sort of the running joke. We said so much that they actually put that on the wall. What's speculation? You know what that is?
Thinking about stuff.
Like,
looking at something.